Recently, Cale experienced the devastating loss of his father, Danny, who died in a car accident. The two had a close relationship, frequently bonding over their passion for fishing. On the day of the accident, they were on their way home from a fishing trip, with Cale driving. During a phone call with his mother, Cale became distracted, leading to the car overturning. Tragically, another vehicle then struck their overturned car, resulting in Danny's untimely death. Cale is consumed by guilt, believing he is to blame for the events that transpired that day. Cale assaults his Spanish teacher, Senor Gutierrez, by delivering a punch to the face when the teacher brings up Cale's recently departed father while scolding him for sleeping in class. A sympathetic judge subsequently sentences him to 3 months of house arrest, during which he must wear an ankle monitor and a proximity sensor. On the inaugural day of Cale's house arrest, Detective Parker provides an explanation regarding the monitoring device. Cale is restricted to a distance of 100 feet from the proximity sensor, which is installed within the residence. Should the sensor be activated, Cale is allotted a mere 10 seconds to return to the designated safe zone. His mother, Julie, is obligated to pay a daily fee of $12 for his confinement. The supervising officer, Gutierrez, is disclosed to be the cousin of the Spanish teacher whom Cale had previously assaulted. As Cale engages in watching television and playing video games, his mother, Julie, eventually grows frustrated and terminates his Xbox Live subscription, as well as disconnects the television. It is evident that Cale longs for his father. Julie, who works full-time as a real estate agent, expects Cale to maintain cleanliness within the house. In his state of boredom, Cale resorts to observing his neighborhood through binoculars, which includes his appealing new neighbor Ashley Carlson and Robert Turner, a reclusive individual. Ashley has recently moved in with her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Carlson. While pursuing mischievous children who had placed a pile of flaming excrement on his doorstep, Cale inadvertently activates his proximity sensor. Fortunately, he successfully reaches the safe zone just in time. However, Gutierrez arrives and apprehends Cale, treating him harshly. Cale is convinced that Gutierrez will always be biased against him due to their familial connection, as Gutierrez is the cousin of his teacher. Over time, Cale begins to introduce himself to Ashley, who is aware that he is watching her from his residence through binoculars. One night, Cale becomes increasingly suspicious of Turner after he arrives home in a 1,960 Ford Mustang that has a dented fender, matching the description of a vehicle mentioned in a news report about a serial killer on the loose. While befriending Ashley, who meets Cale and Robbie after being locked out of her house and discovering their spying activities, they decide to keep an eye on Turner with the help of Cale's best friend Ronnie. However, when Ashley examines the Mustang, she observes that the left fender is intact. Later, Turner returns home with a woman, who they subsequently see fleeing from him in distress. Turner notices Cale observing his house through binoculars. In the end, the woman is seen driving away from Turner's residence, as Cale watches her enter her car and leave. The following day, Turner assists Julie with a flat tire at the grocery store, using this opportunity to gain entry into her home and formally meet Cale. Upon arrival, Turner observes that Cale is wearing an ankle proximity bracelet. Cale experiences feelings of jealousy when Ashley hosts a party and engages with the popular students from their school. In response, he plays loud music unrelated to the festivities in an attempt to disrupt her gathering. Ashley, determined to silence the noise, enters his house to turn off the music. During this confrontation, Cale confesses that he has been watching her since her arrival and harbors romantic feelings for her, leading to a kiss between them. Meanwhile, a separate scene reveals Turner, who is seen cutting something bloody in his home and transporting a body concealed in a blue bag to his garage. Ashley catches a fleeting glimpse of the blue bag, noticing the red stains on it. Subsequently, Ashley and Cale resolve to delve deeper into the mystery. The next day, Cale instructs Ashley to follow Turner to the supermarket, allowing Ronnie to acquire the code for Turner's garage controller. Although she consents, Turner confronts her in the parking lot, using intimidation tactics. Disturbed by the encounter, Ashley withdraws her assistance from the investigation. Meanwhile, Ronnie realizes he has left his phone in Turner's vehicle and decides to break into the garage, with Cale observing from a distance. When the garage door unexpectedly closes, trapping Ronnie inside, Cale attempts to rescue him but inadvertently triggers the ankle monitor, alerting the police. Upon their arrival, they search the garage, during which Cale accuses Turner of murder. However, the officers only discover a bag containing a roadkill deer. Ronnie remains unaccounted for, leading Cale to suspect that Turner has taken him captive. Julie visits Turner's residence with the intention of persuading him not to file charges against Cale. Meanwhile, Ronnie manages to flee from Turner's home and provides Cale with the footage he recorded during his escape. Upon pausing the video and magnifying a specific frame, Cale discovers the body of the woman from an earlier incident. It dawns on him that the woman did not leave in her vehicle. Rather, it was Turner disguised who took the woman's car to divert attention away from himself. In the meantime, Turner incapacitates and restrains Julie. He then enters their residence, striking Ronnie on the head with a bat. After securing and gagging Cale, Turner discloses his plan to frame him for the murders, asserting that it will seem as though Cale killed Ronnie out of jealousy for Ashley. He further claims that Cale would subsequently murder Julie, blaming him for his father's demise and ultimately take his own life. However, Ashley's arrival diverts Turner's attention, providing Cale the opportunity to strike him in the face. Cale then pushes Turner down the staircase before Ashley manages to free him. They leap out of the window into her swimming pool just as Turner resurfaces. Meanwhile, Cale's ankle monitor alerts the authorities once again. While searching for his mother, Cale enters Turner's home. Inside, he uncovers disturbing evidence of Turner's prior murders, including the bodies of his victims and a woman's dress and wig, which imply that Turner had masqueraded as a woman when he left the house on the night Cale and Ashley were watching. When Officer Gutierrez arrives, Turner abruptly snaps his neck. Cale then discovers his mother, bound and gagged in the cellar. Turner soon appears, slashing Cale in the back and pinning him against a wall. Just before Turner can deliver a lethal strike, Julie stabs him in the leg with a screwdriver, enabling Cale to drive gardening shears into Turner. Following the uncovering of the murders, Cale is granted an early removal of his ankle bracelet due to his positive behavior. He retaliates against the neighborhood children who had been playing tricks on him, and afterward, he kisses Ashley on his sofa while Ronnie humorously films the encounter.